Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Let me start by acknowledging just a couple of elected officials here. Council Lady Nancy Van Rees is here. Council Lady Sharon Hurt, Council Lady Sherry Weiner. We're all here. I don't know. I think the next council probably will have more women on it than any other council in history. So. And it's great to have Brenda Wynn here as well, the county clerk. Maybe the next council will be easier to work with.
For sure.
For sure, thank you. So good morning to everybody, and thanks for coming out. In a few days, we'll celebrate the 99th anniversary of one of Tennessee's finest hours, a historic moment that happened right here in the great city of Nashville. And that means that a year from now, the eyes of the nation will once again be on Nashville. It was on August 18th, 1920, that Tennessee became the 36th and final state to ratify the 19th Amendment to the United States Constitution, which gave women the right to vote. It shouldn't have taken that long for half of our population to be able to participate fully in democracy. That matter should have been settled long before 1920. But when history came calling that summer, our state answered the call. A lot of Nashville women worked for years to make sure our nation in general, and the Tennessee General Assembly in particular, did the right thing. And Alice Dudley, Frankie Pierce, and many other women lobbied passionately, relentlessly, and very effectively for women's suffrage. And there was one other woman who played a big role from afar, Phoebe Byrne. Let me tell you just a little bit about Mrs. Byrne. I do know a thing or two about the dynamic I'm about to describe, because I also have a very strong mother. And I'm sure I'm not the only one in the room that can say that. So Mrs. Byrne was the mother of State Representative Harry Byrne, who was from Nyota in East Tennessee. He was planning to vote against ratification of the 19th Amendment. He wore a red rose to show his opposition, while suffragists and their supporters wore yellow. But on the morning of the big vote, Representative Byrne heard from his mother, who had written him a letter to give him marching orders for vote for suffrage, she wrote. Don't forget to be a good boy. It would be hard to say no to that, and he couldn't say no to his mother that day. I encourage all sons to follow the advice of their mothers when it comes their turn. So just as it was looking like Tennessee would turn its back on history and defeat the 19th Amendment with a tie vote, Harry Byrne did what his mother said and voted for suffrage, and the rest is history. As we get ready to start this centennial year for women's suffrage, we plan to honor and celebrate that history here in Nashville. But we won't just be looking backwards. We'll also be building a brighter future and a stronger Nashville by increasing women's access to opportunity and encouraging civic engagement through voter registration and other efforts. I've appointed an all-star team of 32 Nashville women, and all-star is the right way to characterize this, to lead the work and advise this office. In a few minutes, I'll sign an executive order establishing the Mayor's Council on the State of Women. That's not my mother. Maybe it is. I'll take that back. The council will be co-chaired by three excellent leaders I'm lucky to know: Ann Davis, Renata Soto, and Brenda Wynn. I I want to thank these women on stage with me, as well as the others in this new group who couldn't be with us this morning, for agreeing to serve the city in this way. The Mayor's Council on the State of Women will spend the next year organizing and supporting events, developing policy recommendations, and working to increase civic engagement. They'll work in tandem with the 19th Amendment Centennial Commemoration effort that more than 40 Nashville organizations are participating in. All of that work will culminate on August 18th, 2020, with the 100th anniversary of Tennessee's historic vote, with a women's summit here in Nashville. As women continue to fight for equal pay, equal opportunity, and equal rights, and as today's General Assembly looks at abortion restrictions that would set Nashville's women's freedom back, Nashville will help lead the way once again. I'm proud of the diversity of my own team. My chief of staff is a woman. My senior team is 50% female, and women make up more than 1/2 of my overall staff here in the mayor's office. I'm better as a leader, and we're better as a city as a result of their wisdom, insight, and empathy. And now I'd like to ask Ann Davis to say a few words. Ann is a Nashville native who understands that women have contributed to this city, and she's certainly one of them. She's been a leading attorney in Nashville and one of the most influential environmental leaders in our state and the entire Southeast for many years. And I know that she, Renata, and Brenda will be a powerful leading trio moving this agenda ahead for our city. Ann, if you'd please come on up.
Well, thank you, Mayor Briley, for this opportunity to celebrate such an important moment in history. First, I want to recognize all the other members of the Mayor's Council on the State of Women who are on stage with us today and in this room. I hope we've got them all. If I miss anyone at the end, please let me know. Summer Ali, Margaret Bim, Bonnie Dow, Cindy Gold, Kia Jarman, Chancellor Ann Martin, Erica Mitchell, Julie Mosley, Mattia Powell, Marissa Richmond, Abby Rubenfeld, Alma Sanford, Stephanie Silverman, Councilman Nancy Van Rees, Katie Varney, Darkenya Waller, Councilman Sherry Weiner, and Phyllis Williams. Did I miss anyone? Okay, well, you can see that is truly an all-star group. What a great group of women to work together on this. Some members of the council were not able to join us, but you can find a list of all of our members in today's news release. One thing I've learned over the years is that if we don't remember our history as a society, we're bound to go backward. If we forget what women who came before us achieved, we're going to struggle to build on their legacy. So I'm happy to say that Nashville is not going to forget. We're going to remember what the suffragists did 100 years ago so that we can keep moving forward for the next 100 years. The years of organizing and campaigning across the United States, the rallies and marches and speeches, the lobbying in the corridors of the Hermitage Hotel, the votes at the Tennessee State Capitol just up the hill, all of those moments led to where we are today, and we're going to celebrate them over the next year. It's an honor simply to be part of this group, and even more so to have the chance to lead it with my friends Renata Soto and Brenda Wynn. I'd like for Renata to come up now. Renata is, in many respects, the face of Nashville in the 21st century. She spent the last 2 decades welcoming new Americans to our city and helping them to get settled here and become contributors, leaders, and citizens. And she's been a tremendous advocate for Latinas and for all women. Renata, turn it over to you.
Thank you, Ann, for that introduction, and Mayor Briley, thank you for the invitation to be part of this powerful group of hermanas. As Ann said, we have to understand our past to influence our future, and we also need to understand the present moment and the opportunities that women still lack in the year 2019. We live in a country where women still make just 80 cents for every dollar that men make, and when you think about women of color, we're even trailing even further behind. And while the U.S. women's soccer team and others are working hard at the national level to change that, we can be a voice here in picking up that fight in Nashville. We also live in a state where some leaders and policymakers still struggle to understand or even listen to women's perspective. That put out this week, just a couple days ago, in the General Assembly, where we have a lot of people that still don't think that we can own our bodies and make decisions for our own health. So the Mayor's Council on the State of Women will spend the next year looking closely at how and why women still don't get all the opportunities that we should. And more importantly, we will recommend policies that can address those disparities. We know that the road to change can be long, steep, and filled with obstacles. It often is. But the brave women 100 years ago gave us a great model of how to navigate that road. I know that for many of us in this room, one of those women that exemplify what to be a trailblazer and stepping out and owning our power and sharing our voices is our next co-chair, our Davidson County Clerk, Brenda Wynn. She's a former director of the Mayor's Office of Neighborhoods and a former president, quite fittingly, of the League of Women Voters of Nashville. She has spent her career working closely with citizens of Nashville, and she was the first African-American woman to be elected to a constitutional office in Davidson County. I am so proud to work along with Ann and with Brenda in this journey next year.
Good morning, and thank you so much, Mayor Briley, for having us all here. Thank you so much for the vision, and I want to especially thank Renata. It will be my great privilege to serve with Ann and Renata as the co-chair of this initiative. Ann talked about celebrating our history, and Renata talked about making policy changes to empower women in the tradition of the 19th Amendment. Now, I'm going to talk about the fact that 100 years after women got the right to vote, there still aren't nearly enough women exercising the right to vote. Did you all see the turnout in the recent metro elections 2 weeks ago? It was less than 30%, and ladies, we can't just blame men for that. Some of us didn't show up either. So our group will be working hard to improve civic engagement in Nashville. That means voter registration and voter participation. It means civic education, and it means fighting voter suppression. We will be working to get more people participating in the life of our city, our state, and our nation. That's what the suffragists fought so hard for a century ago. Now it's our turn to add to and extend their amazing legacy. But before we do that, first, our great mayor needs to sign the executive order creating the Mayor's Council on the State of Women. Mayor Briley, back to you.
Thank you. Well, so thanks again to everybody who came out. I did omit 2 elected officials who've been acknowledged a little bit, but Anna Escobar and Chancellor Ann Martin. So thank you both for being here as well. So, with that, I think we're going to move the table over, and if anybody wants to come stand behind as I sign the executive order, we'll do that. All right, here we go.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.org.